Alright, and welcome back to the Shining Force Let's Play. It's part 16. I'm all by myself just for these next three because my brother and I had a scheduling conflict. Only a slight scheduling conflict. He'll be back for the rest of the LP after these next three. But I was ahead on the footage and we didn't have all day, and I decided to. We had to cut room somewhere, and Chapter 5 is a great place to cut from because not a whole lot happens in this chapter. I should be able to handle it all by myself. Uh, each of these videos will be about 16 to 20 minutes long, unlike some of the other fights that go on for like 40 minutes. These are pretty quick, and there's not a whole lot to say. Even in the challenge mod, there's not a whole lot to them. This is just a ship battle. We're getting surrounded by giant bats and getting boarded by these uh, shell-looking shell heavy conch shell things that are called, I don't know. They got tentacles and shells. One's called shellfish. One's called conch. Really not much to them. They can poison you with their basic attacks, but other than that, there's not too much of a trick to it. And yeah, I'm already out of stuff to say about the fight. Tau was awesome. Blaze 4 is awesome. Ranged attack that you really want to take advantage of. This fight was very easy in the base game, and while the challenge mod has improved the capabilities of all of the enemies in this fight, it hasn't done much to make it harder on a strategic level. There's certainly lots of fights later. He's gone and made them a lot more challenging to complete from a just design of the fight perspective in addition to the enemy power. But this one doesn't have too many changes as far as I'm aware. You just get swarmed by these enemies and you gotta kill them all. I wish I'd sped this up. I could have fit all of Chapter 5 in one video if I used the speed up function more liberally, but I don't want to do that too much. I have my own flying guys, of course, so that's a good advantage to me. It's just really boring to talk over a level of battle this easy to play. And my biggest decision is like how far exposed do I want my flying guys to be, and the answer is of course you don't want them to be too far ahead because they will get taken advantage of. But man, they kind of melt to blaze. Pun intended. Oh, I always like this theme that's going on right now. It's the headquarters theme. And some of the theme you get in some of the castles as well. What is it called? Oh, these all have Japanese names, so fucked if I know. Oh yeah, this is definitely the castle theme. Gort, I hate you. He only got 2 HP and 2 speed. What a terrible level up. Gort he'll be a member of the party for a while, but as soon as I can get rid of him, I am. Because there's so many better melee fighters. This is kind of weird because I've already finished recording the audio and visuals for the entire game, and now I'm going back to these random battles in Chapter 5. So, it's a bit of a letdown. I also gotta remember like who's on the party at this point and all kinds of stuff. Those bats can still put you to sleep, but at this point in the game, that's probably the worst they can do to you. And I have pulling Gong down there to try and draw some aggro because he's pretty tanky right now with his higher level. Jingle item, yeah, that's not Japanese. Why is that one not in Japanese? About to show off some magic. Woo! Yeah, your hero gets the bolt line of spells, which is nice. From bolt 1 to bolt 3, so you're not exactly a mage, but you can do some magical damage. Particularly the area of effect of the bolt stuff is nice. And Tao is just destroying. It is, when you have a level 4 spell for the first time, the enemies are certainly all going to basically get one shot by it. They'll catch up in their level of health later on in the game. But right now, magic is at its best. Yeah, these guys are just doing 1 damage to me. You have to promote at some point, and then you get a kind of a power boost, I think. At least if you do it at any early part of the game before like Chapter 6, you're going to be a little stronger. That was in this case. Yep, still doing 26 damage to their 1 damage, so not too tough. Alright, now I'm showing off the bolt. In the base game, you wouldn't get this many magic points. You just have like 8 or 9. And the only spell you get would be Aggress, which you can only use 1 time. So it's like, why would you ever need more than 8 magic points? And the answer is you don't. But you do have to keep, in this version where you've got Bolt, you do have to make sure you keep 8 magic points so you can use it when you have to. I just killed the last enemy. Why are you taking so long? Past self, not a bro. I clearly want the experience for someone who isn't Gong or Lao, who are already at like level 17. I guess I can't get too mad at my past self, but come on. That was it. I mean, that's one of the easier fights you're going to get in this challenge mod, but it was one of the easiest to begin with. So yeah, not too much to say about it. Our ship got damaged in the battle, so we're going to stop off at Worrell, which is a mermaid town. And when we talk to this guy, he says it's going to take some time to repair the ship, so we can't go anywhere yet. Go talk to the king. He says he'll gladly repair the ship if we tell others of his island, so he's basically just wants to use us to spread some word of mouth to drum up his tourism business. But to be fair, it's probably the only island paradise in this entire fantasy setting, so I can see why people would come here. Lots of items on offer in here, so make sure to collect them. This is the most important one though, the mobility ring. It'll increase the movement of a character by 2. You know, that's the number of squares they can move on the battlefield. That's very, 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 very important. I'm going to be giving it full time to someone who we don't have just yet, but for now I'll give it to Domingo. He's got 5 movement squares and it'll become 7, so he'll be a 7 movement flying mage, which is pretty badass. And you can also buy items here from the king, so he's very practical, very money inclined. He has the exact same dialogue as any shopkeeper, which is kind of funny. These steel lances here, they're better than the power spears in terms of weapons for your knight, but they've only got 1 square of attack, so I always keep the power spear in addition to the lance and then just alternate depending on the situation. If you need to attack from 2 squares, you still can for lesser attack power. Of course, there's also steel swords for any of your birdmen or swordsmen. The amount of power I get with the steel sword is pretty good. I'm just going to keep the power ring on my hero for now. The item shops never really get anything besides the herb, medical herb, healing seed, antidote for poisoning and status effects, and then the angel wing to have a get out of the battle button on someone who isn't your main character, so. Don't expect too much from them. This is Boken. It's the guy who's been traveling around behind us basically everywhere, and he was swimming, so that's something. Alright, so that's enough of this talking to people in town stuff. I don't show off much of that. People in town have a lot to say, but not too much of it is relevant. Like, even in the remake where they have a better handle on the translation, I don't think that there's too many random townspeople dialogues that reveal much of the plot, with a couple of exceptions, but especially in this game, they just have kind of generic fantasy town people things to say, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. And oh no, we got crashed by current, but we're fine. Priest guy pulled us out of a ship, but the water in the reef totally just got drained somehow, and now it's totally exposed. And there's this big weird looking structure here. The guy speculates that it might something to do with the ancients and the Shining Path, and he would be right because this is totally a structure of advanced future past technology, civilization that was so much more technologically advanced. Trope is in full force. This is the ancient ancient structure. It's Shining Path. There's a lot of teleporter things that we can't go into because they're conveniently, just broken off and we can't get to them right now. But we can't go through one, and unfortunately, there's gonna be a whole lot of bad guys waiting for us at the end. So we're gonna have to deal with that in the next part.